us, and you can see officers now advancing, pushing people back away from the intersection. We saw a lot of pushing and shoving starting to take place as officers try and keep hold of this intersection and keep just this virtual sea of human beings from taking over this area, guys.
Wow, look at all of these people.
Yeah, I believe so. At this point, all bets are off as far as a peaceful demonstration and so forth. And I just wanted to illustrate to you the traffic tie-up that this is causing. This is really going to mess up traffic on the 101 freeway. And I believe, unless I'm wrong, I don't believe we've actually seen any of these crowds go onto the freeway. I think this might be the first of this third day of protest that we have seen occurring here in Los Angeles County. But take a look at just people all over the place here.
Wow.
It spans from one overpass to another overpass, and then as you go up Spring Street, they're just all over the place there as well. Now, we have not, we've tried to see what some of the signs say. There was
Yeah, they are on the
that said
overpass
something to the
protesting.
effect of, that spoke very specifically about Trump. I don't want to repeat the language that was used there, but very vocal, using their banners and so forth. They've got their flags, and I was just mentioning to my pilot.
This is in Los Angeles, y'all, right now. Like,
before. Actually,
all on the freeway. And people think we're not supposed to be praying.
Clearly, a demonstration by many people from the Latin community who are very upset about what is taking place.
They're saying, he just said that they didn't, in other words, as far as them having an issue with them being on the freeway. So I'm assuming that he's trying to say that that's an area that they typically would not protest, but they're on the freeway because with them being on the freeway, they're probably trying to send a message, and that message is that they the message is that they're stopping traffic. In other words, you're not going to be able to get through.
Right,
so like
exactly.
protesting.
And, I'm going to use my doubler here, and we're up quite a bit of ways because there is there's a ice airship that's down below us, and we cannot get any closer. So my shot is going to be a little on the grainy side, a little bit on the blurry side. I apologize for that. But yes, we did see a couple of law enforcement vehicles go onto the freeway. They almost had to push themselves onto the freeway. And I don't know where they went after that. I believe that they were CHP vehicles. They could have been LAPD vehicles. But at this point in time,
Anthony says he's glad where he lives that they don't have these problems.
They may have been going up ahead.
Why block the traffic that people have to drive on? Epic Adventures, that's what the newsman is saying. He made a statement before you came on and said that he didn't know why they were blocking the traffic, the freeway. And so they're not, really sure why they're on the freeway. Now, I'm just speaking from opinion. It's not facts. I'm speaking again from opinion. I'm assuming, and what are you guys' thoughts, that perhaps they're doing this so the people can't get in? I'm assuming. I don't know. But I know if you, just common sense, if you block the freeway, which is how people travel, then they're not going to be able to get in and get out. Again, that's just my opinion. I don't know the reason, why. I'm Haiti, raised in Miami, Florida. We don't act like this, is what Anthony says. Why am I not down there? Because I'm not down there. Are you planning to go down there? The reason why you're asking me?
I've seen primarily LAPD. I think the two law enforcement vehicles that
because we do have, and the reason why I asked, because we do have people who travel to other areas to protest.
A very strong and robust presence of LAPD down here right now, providing security, if you will, for this intersection, trying to get people.
I'm not mad at them protesting. I'm just merely coming to share what's going on.
To push people back away from,
nobody really, you said you subscribe. Thank you for subscribing.
Keep them away from this intersection.
Anthony says just an excuse to loot. That's funny you mentioned that, Anthony, because before I came on, I did hear that they were looting. And Tom Baum says that they are rioters. Ryan, you said, why are y'all doing this? What are we doing? Happy Sunday to you as well. But this is happening in Los Angeles. And again, for some of you who are just coming on, they're like the newsman who's reporting said that, you know, they're trying to figure out why they're on the freeway. As you can see, they're actually on the freeway. So again, my opinion is that they're doing this because it like interferes with traffic. Muscle says protest for immigrants. Is this Cleveland Brown?
Yeah, I know it's super blurry, but we can't.
Joanne, no one said nobody was rioting. What I stated was, I repeated what they said before I came on, that people were looting. No, they do it all the time in LA. Okay, Chuck. Darlene says they are paid to protest. Interesting. They are paid to protest. And they're not immigrants. They're illegals. Well, Muscle says they pay taxes too. Balin, are you saying no to Muscles that they pay taxes? You have to thank the immigrants. They keep your economy going. With semi-slave labor, just ask the farmers in Illinois. Don't believe the hype is what JJ says. Okay, here's another person, Eddie, that's saying paid to protest.
Gotcha.
How many people believe that they're paid to do this? Because I've had a couple of people to say that. So how many people actually believe that they're paid to protest? Hate loves work. How many people believe? Okay, DeClain says they are. Eddie says, I don't believe they are paid to do this. Not possible. So he disagrees. JJ says if they were, everyone would do it. Barry says they're paid. So a lot of people are saying that they're paid. Chuck says they paying bonds. That's interesting that people are saying that they're paid. Blackfire says no. They are not paid. Trust me, I know. This is it. Not paid. Okay, so more people are saying no, they're not paid. They're not getting paid. So I see more people saying that they're not getting paid. Before there were people saying that they were getting paid. So if I have a mix, if there's a mixed number of views as to what's you think, why is this happening? The other thing is this: why did the president of the United States, which is Trump, why did he send out 2,000 troops? Has nothing to do with race and everything to do with respecting law and order in the United States, is what Taco says. Balin says he need a job. Well, there's a lot of people who need a job, not getting paid. This is only the Mexicans' problem, not any other culture, is what JJ says. Charles says there are some that are bust into the area to start cramp, just a few folks to stir up the people. Oh, wow. 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 Okay, somebody responded to my question. He sent 2,000 troops out to that protest. He probably did it because you want to get as many as possible. But do you feel like, Desmond, that 2,000 was needed? I think it's the governor or mayor of California. I can't remember. One of them said that this was unnecessary and hyped up to send out 2,000. So what do you guys think about that? Mike Ramsey, anybody that blocks the road like that should be arrested. If you want to protest, don't block random people from living their lives. Well, actually, that's one of the biggest things that is being discussed. As soon as I clicked on this, that reporter was speaking of he needed to get a good view. He kept telling the cameraman, please get a view of the freeway. And so they're tuning in even closer now than they were before and showing us the actual signs. Like, with them blocking the freeway, this has to escalate things. It has to. Things are going to be escalated. And emergency vehicles can't get through, Taco Casing says. Well, if there's an emergency or anything happens, it looks pretty certain that those emergency vehicles are not going to be able to get through. This is another reason why I came on. And you guys, look right here. Look right here. Look at that. You see the law enforcement going in? Can y'all see that? You see that group? This wasn't here before. Are you guys paying attention to that? When I first came on, we did not have them. And if you're looking, they're not walking. There's like a semi-jog. So I'm assuming that something is happening for them to do this. But you guys are right. Whoever made that comment, if we had an emergency for these people, they would not be able to get through. Tim says martial law in California is coming soon. Well, Tim, you're kind of getting to what I come on to say. And that was one of the things that I was coming to say, that we can pretty much look for martial law.
Did you copy that?
In some form, because they're not going to be able to control this. The fact that they're on the freeway, okay, this is huge. If there is an emergency, people are not going to make it to the hospital to get the care that they need. Okay, this is pretty serious. I hope you guys are looking. I know a lot of you are enjoying your Sunday and not paying attention.
So Alameda Temple.
But this is pretty serious for people who are intercessors and know how to pray, or know that you should not cease to pray. This is serious. This is serious. And for those of you who have been on here with me since I logged on, the streets are becoming more crowded. It did not have as many when we first started. Okay, now look at this 18-wheeler here. I want to see where he's going and how he's going to get through. Very necessary for the National Guard to step in. California needs change. The Democrats have ran this beautiful state into the ground. But this ain't got nothing to do with me, honest. I'm black, not Hispanic, and ain't this in Cali. I'm from Texas. Well, Desmond, a lot of us on here are not from the area, but we can't just say it doesn't have anything to do with us, because here's the deal, Desmond, and maybe you may feel differently than some of us, but I like to pay attention to what's going on around me. It doesn't have to be in my state, city, town, or county. Okay, I have to pay attention to what's going on around me, because it will, in fact, negatively affect me in some regard. So I have to pay attention so I'm not caught off guard. But that's just me, my observation, and my opinion for me and my family. You may have a different viewpoint of it. Exo Gaming, I see so much of it now in live. I am in another country. What is happening there? Exo Gaming, this is Los Angeles, California. And we have protesters who are protesting against ICE raid. Okay, the ICE raiding in Los Angeles. And it is being reported that they are not peacefully doing it. And so the president of the United States have ordered 2,000 troops to come out and assist. And that's pretty much it in a nutshell. Of course, there's greater detail, but that's a brief overview of what's happening in Los Angeles, California. All these people most likely unemployed with all this time on their hands complaining about government policies, yet government handouts, is what Sean P. said. Blackfire said, please tell us everything will be okay soon. I pray that it will be. We even have cars that are backing up here in the road. Not sure why that car is backing up. Again, we have some more troops right here. If you see right here, I'm not certain where these troops are going. Here is a law enforcement vehicle, it looks like right here. I see this man right here. You guys see him? He's waving off. I'm not sure what he's doing. It looks as if they're trying to direct traffic, but I could be wrong, but that's what it looks like that they're trying to do. And it looks like the news have kind of zoomed back out so we can see more. So it looks like they're trying to gain some control over here, some order. This is pretty serious. This is pretty serious. Looks like they have this blocked off over there. I'm not sure why, but they do. This is like, I can't believe this, and they're showing you a wider overview. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. JJ40 says, we the people, Martin Luther King Jr., 1964. Tom Bomb. It's not a protest. Tom Bomb, what do you think it is if it's not a protest? What do you think is going on? I don't know how long you've been on, Tom Bomb, but earlier when I came on, I had people saying that it was a paid protest and it not being real. And so we kind of went back and forth with that.
Just a few minutes make. CHP getting on scene with, if you will, multiple officers, several squads of officers getting on scene. You saw all those vehicles parked back behind that underpass, and they seem now to be getting activated. They're up underneath this underpass right now, and as I pull out of the shot, it would seem that their bullseye right now is going to be these people that are still on the freeway, trying to get them off the freeway. Now, they have managed to turn around a number of the vehicles that were trapped on the freeway. They actually had to turn.
You guys, do me a favor. Can you believe I got a message that says I cannot allow more people on this live because I do not have enough of subscribers? I've never gotten that message. Subscribe for me, please. Click of a button, subscribe for me. I have a message that I have never received before. It says I cannot allow any viewers to come back on because I do not have enough of subscribers. Please subscribe for me. Please subscribe. This is unheard of. I cannot believe this. I cannot believe this. This is crazy. Now, here's what's going to happen, y'all. If you pay attention, it is 6:09 p.m. Central Standard Time where I'm located. Now, watch what's going to happen and be reported within the next 4 to 5 hours. This is not going to be good. When I first came on, it did not have this many people. They are coming in numbers. The numbers are growing. The numbers are growing. The numbers are growing. Thank you, Patricia Roman, for asking the people to subscribe and like for me. I appreciate that. You guys, look right here. This is the vehicles right here of authority. They're going to try to gain control. Listen, here's my opinion, and I want you guys to elaborate for me. I do not think that they anticipated that the numbers would grow to this magnitude. The last 2 days, it was not this large. And here is what we're seeing live in action. Here's authority. They cannot get control. Can I send you $5? I know it's not about money and stuff like that, but I still want to do a good deal if you want to fall back into like 1,000. Yes, you can. You can send it, DeAndre Morrison, if you want to send. It's not the amount of money. It's not the amount of money. It's the thought and appreciation what counts. It's the thought and appreciation what counts. Now, what I do is, for those of you who do not know me, what I do is I pay attention. They need to start a rest, is what somebody said. Here's what I do. I pay attention to what's going on around me. I live in America. This is my home. America is my home. I cannot look at what's happening in Los Angeles, California, and not care and be concerned. We have individuals who may become sick and have an emergency. They're not going to get the help that they need. The streets, the freeway is cluttered. They're not going to be able to get the help that they need. Why do we not put ourselves in the place of others? What if this was you and you needed the help? So I look at things like this and pay attention so I know how to pray. We have to have a compassionate heart and have sympathy. You cannot sit at your state in your home and just simply say, this doesn't concern me. That's none of my business. It's not happening in my neighborhood or state, so I don't care. We can't do that. If America is your home, then you should be concerned about what's going on there. If you're not a person who prays and believes in our Lord Yahweh, well, I'm not here to negate that. That's between you and him. But for those of you who are, then we would say a prayer for what's going on in Los Angeles, because we don't want to see people go through what's going to happen. Okay? The law enforcement that's out here, the protesters that's out here, forget about them. Forget about that. Think about the people who are going to become sick and have an emergency and cannot get back and forth. That's a problem. If you were the one sick and needed to be transported and couldn't get through here, you would want someone praying and to assist and help. So let's not be selfish. This is crazy. This is happening in America. Bass Ranger said deport them. Well, the deal is, Bass Ranger, before they can do anything, they have to get some order. That has absolutely nothing to do with people coming here illegally. Well, Scott TV Live, here's what I stated, and I'm going to say it again just in case you didn't hear it. Do you see all of these people that are here blocking this freeway? Okay. How are the people going to get through who have an emergency? That's all I'm concerned about. This is all the result of several at this point. And now it's just, chaos there over the 101. It doesn't appear to be moving much, Lolita. As far as officers on the ground, are you seeing, is it LAPD? Is it when the government does not exercise the will of the people, is what Matthew said. The only folks that we're seeing are the ones that you see there right on the 101 freeway. Blackfire says blacks are the most emotional people in U.S. If you are so proud of Mexico, then what are they doing? Why are they doing here? What are they doing here? So, Jackie, you're saying if they're so proud of Mexico, why are they in the United States? That's your comment?
Visualizing from the top down. These are LAPD officers looking down from both some of the buildings that we see around the area. But in terms of
if you have not subscribed to my channel, please subscribe. Please subscribe, like, and share.
And I will tell you too that
I'm in utter disbelief as to what is currently going on in downtown Los Angeles, California.
Down the sidewalks here on Aliso in Los Angeles, there are young people, old people, elderly people that have come out to protest here peacefully. There are people with their dogs, and they're moving about in this direction. So, no one feels necessarily nervous, or no one feels necessarily in any type of threatening situation, even though it is definitely chaotic. And
I'm not understanding why they're just standing there. Am I missing something?
What you're seeing about the mood of the crowd right now, how you would describe it. But I'm seeing a lot of just repositioning, people moving around a lot. That's what we're seeing.
I agree they are flying their flags but don't want to go back to home. They're so proud of. That's what Mrs. JJ says. So I have a couple of people saying they have their flags out. Okay, there's a flag, there's a flag, there's a flag. I thought that was a flag, but it's not. There's another flag. So I pointed out about 3 flags. I have been able to identify flags as well. So a lot of people are saying if they are displaying their flags as proud citizens, not citizens, but proud of their country, then why do they not want to go back? A couple of people have made that statement. Universal basic income. Say it aloud. The hardworking immigrant is all a big myth. The protest is all, I can't even. The protest is it's distraction. Okay, well, here's what I want to say, universal basic income. Before you came on, I had people who stated that this was a host and people were being paid to do this. And you may have not been on at the time. Okay? So it looks like I have somebody else who's making that same observation. Imagine if American white people did this in Mexico. Get them out of here. Respect the law. Okay, let's hear what he has to say.
Yeah, guys, so I am at the intersection of Alameda and Temple. The group you're seeing behind me of protesters is a group of protesters that came from City Hall, tried to descend on the Metropolitan Detention Center in the Federal Building, which is about 100 yards, 200 yards maybe that way, but were pushed back by LAPD.
Oh, wow.
The MDC, the Metropolitan Detention Center, that is where the National Guard troops are stationed, who are deployed here against the wishes of Governor Newsom. These protesters, really, the protest was targeted at them. It was targeted at the National Guard troops and at DHS, which also has a police presence there alongside the National Guard troops. But they were repelled. They were pushed back here by LAPD, which in just the last hour or so declared this an unlawful assembly and has been pushing protesters back, including by using several, an array of non-lethal munitions. They've been using rubber rounds, foam rounds, pepper balls. Earlier, the National Guard and DHS used tear gas. At this point, the sort of face-off has come to a little bit of a standstill. Neither side is really moving. The protesters seem to be staying in place, and the police seem to be holding their line. LAPD declared this an unlawful assembly. I've seen at least 4 people get arrested just on this side.
Oh, wow.
I'm sure there are more. Those are just the people we've been able to directly witness. Because again, this is not the only place where protesters are gathered. It's not the only gathering that LAPD has declared unlawful. Back to you guys.
And David, you said that some people have been arrested. Any injuries in this? Has it escalated to that point? Anything like that?
I haven't seen any injuries directly. I can tell you that some of the less lethal munitions that the police have been using are prone to injuring people. These, actually have one right here in my bag. These rubber rounds and foam rounds, they can definitely bruise you up. They can definitely hurt you. Things like this is a 40 millimeter rubber round. I haven't seen any injuries directly. I also haven't seen any injured law enforcement. Things have definitely gotten very tense. Folks have been throwing water bottles and things like that at the police line. Police, again, have been repelling them using less lethal munitions. So things are definitely tense. Sometimes that tension boils over into skirmishes between protesters and police. At this point, it seems to have plateaued a little bit, calmed down somewhat. But to answer your question, no injuries that I've witnessed directly, no.
So, David, it appears that from your vantage point, most of the protesters have now converged a couple blocks away onto the freeway. It doesn't seem that, or is there still a large group there behind you? It's tough from our vantage point to see.
No, it looks like to me they all over here.
From what I can tell here at ground level, it's a pretty large group.
It's large, but it's more here, I would think.
Hasn't necessarily thinned out. The group that is on the freeway, I don't know if they separated from this group, if it was a separate group. I'm not sure, honestly. Your choppers would be the best way to know the answer to that question. But I can tell you for sure that the group that's
here's another flag
is not waning in size or in strength. They're quite large, quite fired up.
There's quite a few flags that I see out. And I'm only pointing that out because somebody else said it in the comments about the flags.
It sounded almost like the police were talking about throwing some sort of bricks, weapons, water bottles, anything like that happening.
This is like, and they're showing us a different angle from this side over here. This is a different angle. And now they just flipped it over again.
I've seen people throw water bottles, and I've seen some sort of person-to-person skirmishes between police and protesters, where police are pushing protesters, and protesters in some instances are pushing back. That's what I've seen.
And David, lastly, this is all in response to ongoing immigration enforcement across Los Angeles County at a level we've not seen.
Charlotte said Latinos for Trump.
There's a lot of fear in the community, and NBC News has been reporting from the border czar himself, Tom Homan, that
be thankful
this
for
could be
America.
going on for weeks, if not months.
Yeah, look, it's a little bit hard to know. Homan himself, when he gives interviews,
JD1 has made a comment and said there's good people on both sides. He says that there are good people on both sides. Civil War days ahead is what Donnie stated. I agree with you. There's only a few cars under the bridge.
Does in fact get it physically in the way of them being able to go to work sites, stage their operations.
Kay Cooper said if they block the road from first responders, they're not good people. Here's the thing, Kay. I stated, and I don't know if you were on, that we have people who may be ill and need to get through to go to the hospital. So we shouldn't block the freeway is what a lot of people have agreed. Have you seen or heard of any issues in Texas? No, Charles, I haven't.
Thank you so much for joining us. Stay safe out there. We're going to get back to our coverage here from our helicopter news chopper 4, where we've been watching what he was describing. Everyone pretty much in a standoff. It's a large group down there still. Thankfully, they were able to
Edward says it's time to pray. Edward, that is the reason why I came on. Edward, that is the reason why I came on.
Some of the developments here, because
I respect the opinions and just how other people feel about things, and I would hope that others would respect mine as well. This is not good for America, and we should be praying. Like this is not good, because this is only going to escalate into further issues.
And then we saw a group of people actually run from the area and then back up the
I paid over $50K to come to America. I didn't overstay my visa, is what T said. Oh, wow.
So we've been trying to reposition the chopper here to try and see if we
they all in the freeway burning cars. This is a riot. Oh, wow. So Mexican name. Why are you saying that they're all in the freeway burning cars and that this is a riot? Did someone inform you of this? How do you know this?
Lower than this, but for the
Honey
most part,
child,
this
we are
group,
praying.
has
Thank you,
been,
honey child. We all are
pretty much
praying.
just standing,
We're going to have to pray.
just standing in place for the most part, not moving, and pretty adamant that they're not going anywhere at this point.
All right, Roland, it looked like there's a little bit of smoke being deployed there, and we started to see the
Okay, JD once said yesterday a car was burnt. Oh, okay, wow.
Carmen Dickerson,
Charles Reed
our
said it's
reporter there, is on the
unlawful.
ground as well. She is in downtown, has been covering the story all day. Carmen, if you could give us a little perspective, what you've been seeing, what you've been covering, and what you're seeing right now, if we can go to Carmen.
We're showing you exactly what we're seeing right now over the freeway. It's the 101 freeway. We are several blocks back from where a lot of the activity is going on. But if you take back another look from our perspective from
the video of protesters turning the rocks.
The chaos that's going on.
There are cars burning. Okay, now Charles is saying that there are cars burning in downtown Los Angeles. I'm like, wow, I didn't know that. And look, this is a standstill right here. See this standstill like right here? Now it looks like going this direction, they can go back and forth, but this is a standstill.
Just how far this sound and this effect carries. We can see smoke rising just beyond.
Well, there is smoke.
Down and hear
you can see that smoke.
Off.
You can.
Here, you cannot see the people that are on the ground, but you can see lines of cars stopping, people stopping on the freeway.
People just stopping.
Understand what's going on.
Now these people are just looking. They're not protesting.
Is to clear out of this area. If you were on the freeway, that's
again, I'm going to say this cannot be good. It's unlawful to block traffic, is what Christy says. It is.
Just trying to go about their daily business. People trying to get in and around the area, and then of course people who've started to.
Somebody said they're in Texas. This would never happen in Texas.
And so it's really a mess both on the freeway.
Honey Child said, "I hope they have gas, air, and food." See, Honey Child, I'm glad you made that statement.
I did see at least one person.
I pray that these people have water and food, because
did you see the line of cars that
this is escalating. This will only get worse. I know President Trump will just send more troops, but this will get worse.
Unknowingly.
Yes, and
Rango says they already started shooting.
And coming, and what I'm not sure if we're able to show them where we can.
Now here's the deal.
Los Angeles Street exit coming up.
The best news is going to come from the people who are in these areas, because we're going to receive limited news. But the people who are in these areas in Los Angeles to report back to family and friends, that's how we're really going to know.
Clear of these cars coming on, but that is because so many of those unsuspecting drivers were diverted and had to.
Nave, why do you say take the governor and mayor in custody?
Yeah, we're watching the traffic nightmare right now as drivers are trying to get off the road, and then people. They're all lined up there just watching. We have people, and then in between officers, and then on the
Rango
guardrail,
said, I
people
just
standing
saw
there
another
talking to
live.
the
They are
officers, taking
approaching them.
pictures, and then other people who were part of that crowd down below.
And it is interesting, Karma, as we talk to you, we are seeing those, we see your shot here with more CHP
Self-Love says they're there in Long Beach. So Self-Love, what's happening in Long Beach? Is it peaceful there?
Or that overpass, rather. They're right underneath it, and it's just this ongoing standoff.
Like, please, and share the video. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed. Please subscribe if you haven't subscribed. I reached a limit where I was not able to have anybody else on, because I received a message that told me I did not have enough of subscribers. So think about that. I did not have enough of subscribers in order to have the number of people who were trying to come on my lives. So if you can help me out and click the subscribe button, it will help me with this video and other videos. Okay, Mexican Name says this is what a failed state looks like. LA always got something going on, and it's not good. Wow.
Really just snarled, not what you would expect to see on a Sunday afternoon.
And how is that traffic moving? Are you seeing people?
Because those places are just picking whoever they want to be hired, and that's why I said they're picking favorites. Okay, peace out.
They were desperate to
Fresh
get
D
out of
said
there,
Trump is to blame.
Caught in the situation, they want to get out. They don't know what's happening.
Absolutely, and keep in mind, especially if you're in the car and not necessarily aware of what's going on or which is the best way to get out, you're hearing
Mr. Mac L, I can't pronounce your name. Libitord, I don't want to Liptord, I don't want to pronounce it wrong. Rioting with Mexican flags. You're not the first person who pointed that out, that there were flags.
Perspective we're showing you now, they've done a lot to clear, to either shut down entrances and exits and clear the backup of traffic.
Nathan says deport them all. Well, Nathan, it looks like this is why they're protesting. They feel like, you know, that things are not being done properly and that they should not be deported. So they're protesting. I'm certain that it's not just immigrants out here protesting. I'm sure that there are others protesting with them. We know how protests goes. If they're flying Mexican flags, apparently they like Mexico more, so they should just go back.
We have seen what appears to be the flashbangs.
We have laws in this country. You illegal, then breaking the law. I'm not going to curse and say that word. Trump tried to fix what Sleepy Joe missed.
And what occurs to me, what's striking to me is they may have been using this freeway underpass as cover and concealment.
Illegal means criminal is what Kay Cooper says.
I know yesterday and Friday that we're talking about people throwing bottles and rocks and that sort of thing at officers. So it may quite possibly have been that they were using this as a little bit of cover and concealment from the people that are on the overpass, from having things thrown on them until
California funds U.S. is what JD says.
Get these people off the freeway. I don't see any other smoke right now. I don't see any potential flashbangs, but
forget about it. Says I heard that the homeless there get a monthly check. I didn't know that. I didn't realize that. I didn't know if that was true.
You see these other officers on this other frontage road here, and the name of this frontage road escapes me for right now. I'm sorry, but look at all these officers right now. They're all standing in place. They've been able to get a lot of the onlookers that were.
So a lot of authorities there.
Road off of there. This may also be an on-ramp. Let me pull out of the shot here. This might be the northbound on-ramp. And they were able to get those people off of there. So you have officers.
So you guys heard that they were able to get them off of there.
That just by their physical presence now starting to push people away and push them off the freeway.
There are still so many people there on the side that are watching. They're on both sides, actually. But some are on the roads and, you know, just wonder if the traffic is going by and it seems like...
You guys, if you don't mind, please subscribe. It's just a click of a button. Subscribe and like if you don't mind. If you have not subscribed, please subscribe and like. When I come on, I exceed the limit of who can see my live because I do not have enough of subscribers. So that says something about what I'm displaying and showing. People are trying to come on who cannot come on because YouTube is blocking the number of people who can come on my live because I received a message that stated in a blue box, you cannot have any more because you've exceeded the number for your subscribers. So that simply means I do not have enough of subscribers for people to come on. So if you don't mind, I would really appreciate it. Just click subscribe. I cannot subscribe. What you mean you cannot subscribe to this type of behavior? We're just simply looking at what's going on in our country.
Push of these people off the freeway. Again, I've not seen any additional smoke or any additional flashbangs.
Sincere said I just did. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for those of you who are subscribing. So when I come on, more people will be able to view my live. I really appreciate it. I'm not certain why somebody, I do have a Cash App. I do have a Cash App, yes. I'm not certain why somebody would say anything. There's nothing going on here. There's no bias. I'm simply showing what's going on in my country Okay, which is America. This is where I live. I have not said anything biased. The only thing that I've said, and I will continue to say, is that this is going on in our country, that this is a problem, because I'm looking at the freeway being blocked, and in case people have to get out for an emergency, that is a concern for me. And that we should be praying that this does not escalate any further, so people do not get hurt, and so people are not having issues. When things like this happens, it's a problem. Everybody suffers, even the innocent. So I can't imagine why anybody would have a problem with what I just stated and why I'm on.
Right now, I am waiting to hear back. And as we saw on Friday, Jonathan and Kathy, following one of those rallies, hundreds of the demonstrators marched along the streets.
Chris says, have you ever served this country? I have. I bet you haven't, because this is ridiculous. Chris, with everything that's going on that we're looking at, I just can't imagine that this is going on in our country. And I just absolutely hate when stuff like this happens. I really do. I really do. This is not good. I don't like to see anything negative happening with the country. I don't. This is where I live. This is home. Okay? This is home.
Hopefully we'll be able to report on some new numbers on what's happening specifically today here with people blocking.
You explained that, Jen said you explained that we'll steal the stupidity.
We're on arrest. We'll get back to you. Thank you, Camilla Rimbaldi, live in our newsroom as we switch over to Eric Leonard, who's been watching this with us. And Eric,
No Fear says close the border and stop child trafficking.
Trying to move the crowd.
Close the border, stop child trafficking. It's been happening for 10 years. What has been happening for 10 years? Well done.
Make a decision about where to put the demonstrators. That was, at least in the first minutes of this.
Maurice says all she's doing is reporting what's going on. She's not picking sides. Maurice Martin, you're absolutely right. Have not picked the side. Just simply reporting what's going on. In a nutshell, you're absolutely right. That's all I'm doing. The only thing that I said that may have been opinionated is that I was concerned that if there was an emergency, how would the people get to the hospitals for care? That's the only thing I said. And that's just simply me putting myself in the position of somebody who was sick and the emergency services could not get out to get the people to the hospital. That's the only thing that I've said that is a matter of opinion. And that's me being sympathetic.
Initially reluctant to start taking action while they were underneath another group of demonstrators who might possibly try to throw things at them. That's obviously past. They're well south of that now. Priority given to them is to clear
John
the
Clayton
roadway.
said those people will get out the way for an ambulance. John Clayton, I pray that you're right, that they will get out of the way for an ambulance. I pray that you're right,
on-ramp to the 101 south
that they will get out
Street, and then do everything they can to get people back onto the city streets. After that, it's probably anyone's guess about how this will go from there. The CHP is focused on the freeway. We know that the LAPD is trying to deal with what's going on up on
I'm
the city
embarrassed
streets.
for people, for my people making all of us look bad, and they don't even vote, more than likely. Well, we really do look bad when other countries are reporting this in the news, which we know they will. And look at this. Look at this. Look.
At least one person was taken down by officers there right against the wall.
Look at this.
You mentioned we don't know what's going to happen when and if they can finally get these protesters off the freeway. We're seeing those canisters there of smoke there on the ground, Eric. How long do you think until we start potentially seeing use of force? I mean,
now look at this.
This is completely chaotic at this point. There doesn't seem to be any kind of sense of an organized protest. And
I agree with what he just said. This is like,
it's going to depend on the actions
this is
of the
out of
people
control.
and the ability of the officers to respond. See, there you go. With that takedown you were describing as somebody who was trying to, or it looked like was trying to kick a canister of some kind that was emitting smoke back into the crowd of officers. Before we got to this situation where we're seeing this cloud of smoke or whatever it is in the middle of the freeway,
accomplishing nothing with violence. Let them do their jobs. They will cry victim when they're being destroyed. Their own city. It's a shame.
Put them in handcuffs or
Is
zip
what
ties and then march them
Mantu said.
northbound
And if I
towards
pronounced your name
where the
wrong, I
CHP
apologize.
cruisers were parked, stacked up there as we saw on the 101 freeway. In scenes like this that we've covered before, oftentimes there are a handful of people in the crowd that are trying to engage
Richie
with
Thomas
the police
says
on
they're going to
physical
bring out the
terms,
tear
shoving
gas in a
officers,
little
maybe
bit.
throwing things. If there's enough police there, sometimes they'll try to grab those people out of the crowd, pull them through the line of officers, and
PB has made a statement and said, while taxes and inflation is high,
it looks like
they're protesting for illegals.
We saw that the officers were up against a line of people
says, and ask them if they want protection and have people sit, check in, and then you can march.
Most of the protesters here are just standing out on the streets, not having this kind of engagement and friction with the officers. This is a much smaller group that's decided to remain on the freeway, and as we've seen in the last couple of minutes, as people
Rango said, bro, some people don't get the purpose.
In front of the officers here,
It's a
there's certainly a
peaceful
willingness on the
protest.
part of the CHP to
They
put
know
people in
how
handcuffs
to
and
do
take them
everything
away.
but act
I think it's gonna
civilized,
depend
is
on the
what Rich D
circumstance.
says.
Again, the priority here
Fresh D
obviously
says
is
pardon them all.
to try to
Pardon
clear the
all of
freeway as
who?
quickly as possible, and it does seem like the folks who were willing to leave the freeway have already done so, and now we've got this confrontation brewing between the people left on the freeway and that line of officers who are there.
They have certainly moved them a lot, though, as we've been following this.
And
just had the last few
76
there,
says
but
it's
it
a
is
shame,
growing
it
rather
is.
contentious. Eric, I was wondering about the
JT
unlawful assembly.
says,
We've
I
seen in the
live
past
here,
where,
and this is very
law
disgusting.
enforcement
So
sets
you
a
live
deadline
in
where they
Los
say, okay,
Angeles?
by 5 o'clock, you must go. You've got an hour. How will that work tonight?
Oh, wow. PB says, deport illegals. Took my family 15 years to get here legally. Wow. So PB, where are you from? You said it took your family 15 years to get here legally. So you guys took the legal route is what you're saying.
They've made the decision clearly at the LAPD that they are going
Charles
to
Reed
try
says
to
they're mad that they're
corral
being
and
cut
break
off
up
from
some of the
handouts.
demonstrations and push people in one direction or another. How that plays out is probably going to
Anarchy
be
said
largely
these
dependent on
people
how
should
big the
have
crowd
way
gets,
more respect
or how small
for
it
the
gets as
place in
people
the
begin to
community
leave,
that they live
and
in.
also the activity as we watch the CHP officers there encircle that group that was on the roadway and are now pushing them back towards that on-ramp. Same kind of thing is going to happen out on city
Christy
streets.
Burns says
Sometimes
if they love
demonstrations
Mexico so
organically
much,
move from one
why
area
are
to
they
another, and
here?
then it becomes maybe a simpler process to convince people to leave. One thing that the LAPD has been dinged for repeatedly over
Frank
the years
Phillips
of dealing
says
with these large
everybody should take the
demonstrations
legal
in
route if they
civil
want
lawsuits
to
that have
come
followed,
here.
where people have alleged that they were mistreated or the officers used excessive force, is an idea of
John
something called
Jackson
kettling,
says you
like a kettle
can't
on a stove,
come to a
where
country
the police will
illegally.
sometimes corral folks into an area where there is nowhere to go.
Anarchy
and the
people,
courts have said repeatedly you can't do that.
just follow the law.
The
It's not
police
that
have to
hard.
give people an avenue to leave freely. And so one of the things that we may see play out here is that you'll see all of the law enforcement perhaps move from one side and maybe a second street that's perpendicular to it, but making sure that there is a clear path.
I am with you, and I agree with you. SJ, I agree with your statement. God bless America. Please, God, please have mercy upon America. Have mercy upon America. SJ, I am with you on that one.
Depending on everyone's behavior. If folks were standing around,
this is very scary.
chanting
Instead of sticking together to have a better America, we are fighting against each other. Renee, here's the deal.
Are far less than when you have these
what is it
conflicts
going
and
to
friction
take
between some people in the crowd
for us to
and the police
just
who are out
come
there.
on one
That's typically when
accord
that
here
sort
in
of thing
America
happens.
and
It
do
also,
better?
again, looks like
We
the
have
CHP is
so
beginning
much
to push their way
division
up
here.
that off-ramp
I know
to
we're
get
not
people off the
going
freeway
to ever
completely.
get to a
we see
perfect
yet
place,
another arrest,
but we
at
have a
least the
lot of
second person in the
division.
last several
Like,
minutes,
we
Eric,
have to figure
being
this
taken
thing
away,
out.
in handcuffs
It's like
or
we don't
likely
have to
zip
be
ties in this
best
situation.
friends,
Eric, in
but
this
we
particular
have to
situation,
figure
if
this
someone
thing
is
out.
arrested
Like, we really
at a
do.
protest, what kind of charges may they face? Or in these, in this situation, especially when you're kicking a canister directly at an officer?
Big Stepper says, is this Arizona State? No, Big Stepper, this is in Los Angeles, California.
The chaos
Los
of the
Angeles,
situation.
California.
How does the government, meaning prosecutors, prove that the person who's in custody is the one that did a thing? It's a real difficulty with prosecution with things like rocks and bottles.
Mexican
because, how do you
name
know
said,
where they
remember
came from,
how
especially if they
united
get
we were
thrown from
then.
inside a crowd of hundreds or thousands of people. So one
Mike
of the things
Morgan
that
says
has been
Civil
happening
War II.
more recently, and you might even be seeing it somewhere in the crowd of CHP officers, is they bring photographers and videographers with them
Fishhall
whose
says,
only
why
job
can't
is to
everyone
try
just
to
stop?
record the actions of the people who are closest to the officers, so they can try to figure out what one person did or another. In theory, you can be prosecuted
Here's
for
what Forget About It
failing
has
to leave
said.
after an unlawful
Many people
assembly
got their
has been,
family members
has been
ripped
declared.
from them.
Oftentimes,
Of course,
as we
they
saw
are
with some of the
emotional
recent
/
arrests
angry.
at university
I'm not
campuses
saying
around
that I
Southern
agree with
California,
them
decisions were
not
made just to
getting
drop the
on the
cases after
ball
some
to
months had
become
passed.
legal
There
if that's
were
the case.
significant
So
efforts
Forget
to
About It
prosecute
is
people
saying
other
that a lot of
than
them are
specific
emotional
individuals where
and
it was
angry
very
because
clear
they had their
on the part
family
of,
members just
of the
ripped
police and
away from them,
prosecutors
is
that they
what
had
he's
been involved
saying.
in some
So
type
he's
of
saying that this
particular
is,
violence or particular
I'm
vandalism.
assuming, forget
So a
about
lot
it
of
if I'm
times,
wrong,
these
correct me.
arrests, even though
You're
no one really
saying that
wants to
this
say
is
it
possibly
directly,
why we have a
the
lot of
arrests
high
are a means
emotions
to an
from
end.
them
You
because
can
they're
legally and
reacting.
lawfully detain somebody on suspicion of failing to obey
Daryl
an
Haynes
order
says Trump
or any
reports
number of things that
Mexicans
happen in these
today
crowd
and
control
blacks tomorrow.
situations, and that removes that person from the
Immigrants just
demonstration
showed
for
their
the next
butt.
few hours at least.
This is not a
And sometimes
good
that's
look.
kind of the unstated goal, to
Soulless
get the people
says
who,
the same
at
people
least
who
the
want
officers
them
on the ground
deported
may believe
don't
are
have the
instigating
luxury
or
of visiting
causing trouble
outside of
out of the
America.
crowd,
Simple-minded.
and away from everything that's going on.
Short
And then it
Jazz
makes
fan
it
says,
easier
proud
for the
of
rest of the
LA.
crowd to be
Keep
managed
fighting.
if the folks that the law enforcement thinks are the ones that are causing the greatest amount of trouble
Mike Morgan
are moved out.
says, yes,
that
stop
doesn't
breaking the
always work
law.
according to plan. I mean, we've seen plenty of demonstrations where the wrong
Mexican
people
name
are
said he
yanked
feels
out
like
of the
a lot
crowd
of people
by
are there
officers
just
in riot
because they
gear,
want
zip
to
tied
feel
and
a
hauled
part of a
away.
club.
Whether it's a reporter or people who are there demonstrating peacefully. To get back to your question from a couple of minutes ago, it's very difficult to know in the heat of the moment when there's these friction points where there's lines of demonstrators and police trying to push people in different directions. If some officer gets hit or a rock lands, it's really difficult for anyone to know exactly where it came
LA,
from.
proud of
So
you.
these situations are fraught with danger, and
Brownout Monday
it's
is what
not
Jeffrey
an easy
Miles
thing
is
to
stating.
manage. And the larger the crowd gets, obviously, the more complicated it gets. By the way, we keep seeing this smoke rising from this this point between
TV
the
says
CHP
don't come
officers and
to
the
a
crowd.
country
I'm
illegally.
not familiar with the CHP just letting loose canisters of some kind of material. I have no idea what's going on
Okay,
there,
here's
but
what
it does not seem like it's
Arky76
something that law
is
enforcement's
saying.
doing, but
Why do you
difficult
think
to tell. Certainly
Trump got
something
the
we'll try to find out
Hispanic
more about.
vote?
Yes, and I'm just wondering
Because
about the
legal
handoff now that
Hispanics
they
don't
have
want
the
people
CHP has cleared the
skipping
freeway.
out when
Obviously,
they had
they
to
still
do
have a
all
big
the
presence
work.
out there. Do they hand things back over to the LAPD? How do they work in coordination?
Daily Quote says Martin Luther King
Certainly the
wasn't
local law enforcement
illegally in
agencies are all
America.
in contact with one another. They typically have a command post where representatives from each of the agencies are there, and they can do
Kid
exactly what you just described, hand off from one to another.
9004
Once the freeway's been cleared, I'm
is
not sure we're going to
stating,
see
you
the freeway
think a person
reopen
whom
anytime soon.
has been
There's probably going
paroled
to be
and
lots of
admitted at
CHP
a
officers along the
POE is
101 here to
legally
prevent
in the
anybody that
United
was just
States?
removed from the freeway from coming back. As far as the people in custody, the CHP doesn't have its own jail facilities. They rely on local police agencies to book people who have been detained. In this case, that could be the LAPD, could be the LA County Sheriff's Department, but given all of the congestion in downtown LA right now, they may take them somewhere else. They
Unemployed
could take them to a
behavior
police
is what
station
Nick
in another
says.
part of town
Bring
in
out
order to
the
finish
spirit
a booking
spray.
process, which could result in somebody being
Nancy
released or
says, where
somebody
is
being
this?
held for a
This
little
is
bit
in
while
Los
longer.
Angeles,
Back
California,
what happens when the CHP
where there
gets
is
to the top of the
protesting going
off-ramp or the
on.
on-ramp here,
And the
there's a good
President of
chance
the
they'll hand
United
this off
States
to the
have
LAPD,
deployed
but I
200
believe Lolita Lopez is right
National
there near
Guard
Los
troops to
Angeles and
deal with
Aliso
this.
streets, or was. It looked like there were not efforts going on to clear people out of the streets the way
If you
that we're
are just
seeing
coming on
it
and have
happening
not
on the
subscribed,
freeway
please
surfaces right
subscribe.
now.
I'm
So
asking
the
you to
CHP may get to the
subscribe
top of
because
that
when I
off-ramp
come on,
and be done.
I cannot
Eric, as
have
we
the
watch
number of
these
people who
shots
try
here,
to
this is all in
click
response
in.
to
They
ongoing
cannot
federal
come
immigration
on
enforcement.
because
I
I
want
do
our
not
viewers to
have enough
decide
of
why these
subscribers.
protests have been happening.
So if
And
you
it's not
can
just
subscribe
that's not
for
to
me, so
justify
when
some
I
of the
do
violence that
come
we're
live,
seeing against
I can
officers, but
allow
do
more
you think that
people
this will have
in.
any impact on
The
the federal government's
capacity
response
becomes
here in
really
Los Angeles
full
County, given
and
that
people
at
can't
every
get
turn they're
in.
going to
And
seemingly
there's nothing I
see
can do to let
protests
those
like
people
this
in,
every
but you
single
guys
day? We
can
know that
help
President
me
Trump is
by
adamant
just
these will
simply
continue.
clicking
We've heard the border czar
subscribe.
Tom
If you
Homan on NBC News
subscribe,
saying
it
these will
would
continue, but
really
this is
help
going to
me
get
and I
increasingly
would really
difficult day in,
appreciate
day
it.
out as these enforcement operations continue.
As we were
Third
talking about
Johnson says,
earlier,
I'm
this
a
puts
construction
local
worker.
law
When they
enforcement
came
in
to
a
the
really
job,
difficult
I was
position
so
because, as
happy
we've
because
been
they
covering
taking
and have
money
described, local
from
police
you.
agencies have made it policy in the state of California to steer clear of any
I'm
kind of
subscribed.
immigration
Love you. Thank
enforcement.
you,
The
Anarchy.
message
I
is that's the
appreciate you
federal
for
government's job.
subscribing.
That's not our job. And the rationale behind that has always been local police need to have the trust of the community in order to do their jobs. They need people to call 911. They need people to be witnesses.
Nasty. I think you're trying to say you're not. It's okay. I still love you with the love of Christ. And there's no hard feelings. There's nobody trying to make anybody do anything. If you do not want to subscribe, you do not have to. That is just a mere me asking. And I explained the reason why. It wasn't as if I did not explain why. I cannot have the people who would like to come on, they can't get on. So that's the reason why I asked. Again, I love you with the love of Christ, regardless if you subscribe or not. Thank you, Summer, for subscribing. Duralast, thank you for subscribing. I appreciate it.
Federal decisions, and then you have local police appearing to do work.
Big Stepper, I thank you for subscribing. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Sometimes taking people to jail, and it has the appearance of being at the behest of what the federal agents are doing.
5549, thank you for subscribing.
I'm sort of surprised we haven't heard more directly from
Cario
some of our
says
city officials
maybe
and county
Trump and
officials
Elon
about
shouldn't have
what
had so
message they
many
want
people
the public to hear
fired.
about this.
Then stupid
And
people
it's an
wouldn't be
intractable
wondering
situation.
whether
The
they
CHP
don't
can't let
have
people just sit on the
jobs.
freeway all day. The LAPD cannot sit
PB
idly
says people
by
who love the
while
country
businesses
won't act
and
like
buildings are
this.
vandalized, and there's stuff going on in the street that's unruly, and people could get hurt and all of that. There's
Baby
some
says
level of
if that's
responsibility
y'all
to
state
maintain
to which
order.
America
And again, the flip side of
had, how
this is
did
it
we
carries
get
the appearance in
it
this
then?
moment, unlike many others before. In this moment,
Tom
it
Baum
carries
says
the
has
appearance
nothing
that
to do
local
with
police
Mexico.
are somehow involved in the federal immigration mission, because after all, this demonstration wouldn't be here if it weren't for the decisions that are being made about how to use federal law enforcement.
Nancy says she
in
subscribed. I
efforts to
appreciate
try
it. I
to
really do.
deal with
Paulette
immigration in the
said
way
she
that the new
subscribed. I really
presidential
appreciate
administration
it.
has deemed
Like,
it
look, here we
suitable.
go again with
So
this.
this is a real problem for the local cops.
Here's
And,
what I'm going to
we've
say again
heard
that
their
I've said
pronouncements
before.
that they don't get involved in immigration.
We're going
but
to see things
visually,
that's going to
it's hard
take place
separate
in the
the two right now
news
for many people who are going
to
be watching
report
this.
to us
And then
as
the
to
other
what's
component,
going on.
and this is something I
But
know
here's
has
the
been
deal
talked
that
about
we
at
have to
great lengths in
remember.
LA City Hall
We're
and
not
in
going
the
to
police
receive
department
everything
is
that's going
the
on
perception
except for the people in
almost
this
that
area.
this type
Okay,
of
downtown
situation
Los Angeles
creates
area,
an appearance
these
of
people will
lawlessness.
have to let
It
us know what's
creates
going
the
on.
exact thing
So
that
for those
federal
of
authorities are
you
using
who
as
may
the
not
rationale for
understand,
sending in the National
when we
Guard
come
or
on
bringing
and
in
do
more
stuff
ICE
like
agents,
this
more
is the beauty of
Customs and Border
social
Protection
media.
agents
So
to
I'm
Southern
on, right?
California,
And
the
I'm in
perception that
another
the local
state.
authorities
For those of you
can't
who are
control this
late
sort
to
of
the
stuff that's
party,
going on,
late to the
and therefore
live,
the federal
we
government
have
needs to have a
had
bigger
people to
footprint
come through.
and
We've
maybe
been on
take
over
actions
an
that are more
hour.
aggressive.
And that's
I have
exactly what
had
we've
people to
heard from
come
the
and
federal
share with
government
me
from the
and other
president
people
is
on
that
here
LA cannot
what is
control
currently
what's
going on that's
and
not
Gavin
being
Newsom
reported to the news.
saying, yes,
Okay,
we can.
cars
We don't need any
burning.
extra help. So
Okay,
there's
and
that
different things. I
political
don't remember
element in all of
everything that
this,
they
and
were
I can
saying
imagine how it
because
would be
it's
hard
going
for
so
the public
fast. And
to
so I was
separate the
kind of
different
trying to
agencies
read treated quickly. But one of the things that kept coming up the most was in reference to that cars were burning. So when we come on and do things like this, here's what happens. If you're just sitting in front of your television, come on, y'all, let's just make this make sense. If you're sitting in front of your television, you're only going to see this. If you're looking at it on the computer, or if you're looking at it from any device, TV, television. When we come on and do stuff like this is the real news.
It's these agitators.
Because we're going to have people who are going to come on here and talk to us. Look at all of these people right here. Look, y'all, this is a complete road area that's blocked.
Do you anticipate at any point if this continues?
This is how we know what's going on.
Like the mayor or the governor or even
because people will come on and share. Here's the deal. I can't see all of the comments because it's going quickly. But just like I'm reading the comments, you guys are reading the comments as well. Okay? Here's the thing what Kigora Moon has said. They are arresting loads of people. Okay? So we have people who come on and they're letting us know what's going on in real time. We have to wait for the news. And here's the thing. The news is only going to show us certain things. These people who are live here on the ground or passing through, these people are going to tell us the real news. And this is how we get it. Like this.
In the next hour or so. I think we were supposed to hear from the mayor a few minutes ago. That's been delayed. We were anticipating that both Karen Bass and
Big Stepper said none of these Mexicans people should be acting out like this. Molly says safety to those workers. Safety to those working through this nonsense. Molly, I want to say to you, I appreciate that comment more than you know. And you know why? As people who are employed and have to do certain things, they place their lives in danger for us all the time. And that was so kind of you to be considerate and compassionate to make that statement. I totally agree with you. I pray that our Lord keeps them safe. I do.
Staying here when an unlawful assembly has been declared and you're being asked to leave the area now.
And that is what Mayor Bass was stressing to us last night, that, you know, the more lawlessness there is.
Charles says it's not all Mexicans acting up.
Say they don't want, but, you know, the actions are
SUBI do says these are not Americans. We gotta work tomorrow. None of us have time to stay in the streets.
Roland, if you're with us, you know, we're seeing finally these.
Nobody said that they agree with Charles.
Move that crowd up off the freeway.
Love more, hate less says, but why are they doing this? Love more and hate less. I think a lot of us are trying to like decipher through this and make sense of all of this. And here's the thing. Nobody's going to readily come forth and say it, but that's pretty much what's going on. Everybody's trying to decipher what is taking place in Los Angeles, California. I think a lot of us are just not understanding and in disbelief. And looks like they're going to try to clear some of them out. Y'all see this? The smoke grenades. I think that's what you call them.
But that has definitely been effective in getting people up the on-ramp, so to speak. As you just mentioned, there have been several arrests. We've counted probably at least 10 arrests. We were trying to get around here, just talking to the desk to try and see if we could get a shot of the people being put into cars. We did see them being wrestled down and arrested and taken away.
SBI Dude says we want to love them. Okay, we want to love them, but they do stuff like burn cars and block roads when they don't get their way.
CHP very methodically tries to push this crowd back.
Peace Out TV said the true heroes is the fire department and doctors that saves lives.
There, the crowd moving up slowly, and
not police is what he said.
We're seeing far fewer people, so it looks like a lot of people there who were there earlier. Some of them have moved, and again, just people wandering around. Some of them leaving the area. It'll be interesting to see what happens next, as far as having the presence of the CHP on the freeway. It is now clear, they just can't reopen it just yet.
Absolutely. And Roland,
So it looks like they're saying they cleared
in
it.
the larger sense? I know
They
we have
tried
kind of
with
a tight
COVID
shot of
and
this big crowd
BLM is
that
what
hasn't gone away, but
Angela and
overall,
Marty
we did see a
is
lot of people
saying.
along the sides of the freeway. Has that dissipated at all, or is it still just as strong?
Okay, Nick
I would
Ross.
say there has been
Our
some
own government
dispersal
hates
of
each
those
other. How do
crowds
you
on
expect the people to
overpasses and
act?
so forth. We still see a number of people on this frontage road here just looking on, using their phones and so forth to try and
Millie
record
said these people need
what's happening.
jobs.
We've been also keeping as close an eye as we possibly can.
Baby says
on the
sending you best
intersection here
wishes
of
on a safe
Aliso and
travel.
Alameda, where the LAPD has been holding this intersection down. They have a skirmish line, and as long as we've been up, they've been holding this
Anarchy
intersection
says we
down,
want to love
keeping people
them.
from advancing, going
Mexican
south
name says we
onto
need
Alameda,
prayer.
perhaps toward the
I
Roybal
totally
building.
agree.
But
We need
they have
prayer.
definitely done
That's
a good job of holding that
the
in
main
place. And
reason for
even
my
here,
coming
we've seen a
on is
number
to
of the
bring
crowds
awareness
dissipate. I think
so people
a
can
number of the
pray.
crowds that were here trying to
Mexican
force their
name,
way past LAPD
you said we
actually
need
had
to
tried to
pray.
make their way onto
And
the
here's the
freeway.
deal to that
And of course,
statement.
we
We
see
are a
the visible
country
results
that
now of
stands
what
by
he's been able to do here
God
in
bless
just the past
America.
hour or so.
We
Our Roland
say it
Spurgeon,
all
the
the
news chopper
time. We
for
make
Roland, thank
mention
you. If
of
you are
it.
just joining
We
us, we are
need
following
God
breaking
to
news right
bless
now at 5
America.
o'clock.
Wow, look at this.
Flashbangs, tear gas, rubber
Wow.
bullets, protesters clashing with law enforcement as they march through downtown Los Angeles, even blocking the 101 freeway for some time. We have live team coverage as tensions mount over federal immigration action.
NBC4 News at 5 starts with breaking news.
And so, guys, it looks like the live is over. What I want to say is I thank each of you for joining. I wanted to bring awareness as to what was going on. And it looks like it's just simply a lot here. Okay, it's a lot. I pray that everybody pays attention to what's going on. We have to work. We have families to take care of. We have a lot to do. I get it. We're all in the same boat. But here's the deal. Pay attention and be aware. Pay attention and be aware. Do not just sit back and let things happen and you not pay attention. I am going to repeat, when we come live like this, other people from this particular area, Los Angeles, California, have dropped some great information here of explaining some things that the news will not report and cannot report to us, okay? Anarchy says people can't act like this. Protest is legal. Peaceful protest. Violence is always wrong. Big Stepper says freedom for Mexicans. We need space aliens to attack. Forget about it says, good night, Lord bless. We all need the blessing. I'm going to say this. For those of you who subscribe during this live, I want to tell you guys, I really appreciate you for subscribing. So when I come on, I can now have more people to join me. All of the people who tried to come on were not able to come on because I did not have enough of subscribers. Some of you subscribed and you let me know that you subscribed. I want to let you know that I really, really appreciated it. I appreciate you subscribing. Stay away from the area is what Molly said. Rioters deserve jail. I'm not exactly certain what they're going to do with them. But I appreciate, this is 100% on the Democrats, is what On the Rock said. I'm glad they not begging for our help, is what Stay Woke says. Freedom for all Latin Americans. Thank you for subscribing, Anarchy76. I really appreciate it. It will be cleared by nightfall. You think so, Charles? You think that the government, Donald Trump sending out the troops, will get it cleared out by nightfall? So are you being hopeful to make that statement that it'll all be cleared out and we'll be good? And I say we, for those of you who are on here and you're thinking of Los Angeles, California as just, okay, a part of the United States and it doesn't affect you, shame on you. We are one. It's the United States of America. So what affects one area affects all of us. We're together, all right? And I pray that everyone gets that. That's what the problem is. We're divided. We're not a unity and one force the way we need to be. Stay woke. I thank you for subscribing. Here's the deal. We can all say that they need to be deported, and we can all say what needs to take place and how they should behave. More importantly, if nothing was acquired from this live, I want everyone to consider that we're in this together. Los Angeles, California is not having their own problem. Okay? We are one. That's the problem. We missed that. That's the problem. We are one. We're in this together. It's like we need to get that. We're in this together. Los Angeles, California is not in this by themselves. We're all one. What affects one aspect of America will eventually affect others. Why are they not going to jail is what Lisa said. I think they did arrest some of them. Andrea says that this is not fair to those that came here legally. We have somebody who was on here and he said that it took his family 15 years to get things together, their paperwork correct, and that they did it the right way. So we did have some people on here who said it. Darren West says human rights. Jerry says that they have been arresting a bunch of people. So guys, I'm closing out. Again, thank you to those of you who subscribed and who shared and liked the video. I really appreciate it. To be continued. We will provide more coverage as to what's going on, because we know that this is not going to go away overnight. And so we're going to keep a close watch on what is going on, so we know how to pray, and so we know how to address the situation. For those of you who disagree that this is not a United States problem, well, we can disagree to agree and still love one another. You guys have a great, blessed rest of the night. I'm signing off. Thanks to all of you.